a distinct honor for me to introduce this brother, somebody who has known me for 28 years of my fraternal life in Alpha Phi Alpha, somebody that saw me when I was a pledge running across the campus of Ohio State University, somebody that saw me as a prophyte, somebody that saw me grow and develop and mature, somebody who has counseled me, somebody who has mentored me, somebody who has advised me as an entrepreneur, someone who has introduced me to decision makers, someone who I look up to, someone who I respect, and someone that I love. Darryl A. Peal serves as President and CEO of the South Central Ohio Minority Supplier Development Council. Previously, he served as Deputy Director of the Ohio Development of Administrative Services, Equal Opportunity Division, and State EEO Coordinator. A seasoned member of the Academic Academy, he served as Dean of Students and member of the President's Cabinet at Central State University. Director of Minority Affairs at Ohio Wesleyan University, Assistant Dean of Students at Otterbein College, and Director of Residence Life and Counseling Services at Wilberforce University. Peal also served as Assistant Vice President of Diversity Initiatives for the United Way of Central Ohio. A few of Darryl's awards include Business First 40 Under 40, the Columbus Junior Chamber of Commerce 10 Outstanding Young Citizens, and the Ohio Department of Corrections Richland Correction Facility NAACP Martin Luther King Jr. Drum Major Award. He also served as International Board of Directors of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated as the Midwest Regional Vice President and past member of the Alumni Board of Ohio University. Darryl received a Bachelor of Science degree from the Ohio Wesleyan University and a Master of Sciences from Ohio University. He is married to Dr. Regina Randall Peal and the father of Randall James Peal. Please join me in welcoming my brother, my mentor, my friend, Darryl A. Peal.
God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever on the path, we pray. To Dr. Michael Stubblefield, the president of Alpha Xi Lambda, to the chair of this wonderful occasion, Reverend John Jones, to all the committee members who worked hard to make this an amazing day, to all the honorees, the VIPs, and all the men who love and serve Alpha Phi Alpha, good morning.
Good morning.
Come on, y'all, good morning.
Good morning.
Martin Luther King's birthday, y'all. We gotta do this. Y'all playing birthday, come on now. I am honored and pleased to be here this morning. I just want to say Sean Mack really does invoke the spirit of Malcolm in the room. Malcolm Martin in the room. I think Malcolm, everybody just bring him for I was just sitting here in awe. I was like, he sounds so much like him. And it was wonderful. It was just a joy to hear someone, bring that kind of spirit to the room. And I first want to say that I will pay a premium price for pictures of Jay Young at the Playboy Ball. And I will pay a double premium price of pictures of him selling chitlin and cornbread. For him to push himself. I'm just saying. I've known Jay for 30 years, and I've never heard Jay Young and chitlin dinners in the same sentence. That's all right now. That's progress. It's interesting. This has been an interesting couple of days for me. You're always honored when folks think enough of you to ask you to come and speak. And yesterday I had the honor of going back to my hometown as the keynote for the city's Martin Luther King celebration in my hometown. hometown. I was sitting with the mayor and stuff. And I was thinking, they know they got this little poor black boy sitting up here on the dead. But I was reminded of why it was special and why it was so much fun. As I was walking through the room and I was telling Thomas Winston, my special May Thomas, one of my best things I ever did. Because I made some lousy folk over here. I'm still trying to get it back. Sneaking and steal the pen. But I was in Springfield, and I was there on the dais, and I was about to give my speech, and I walked down to go say hello to somebody. One of my teachers stopped me on the way back, and I thought she was really going to, make over me, and they read this bio and stuff. She was like, "How you doing, baby?" I said, "I'm good." She said, "Can you please give me a cup of coffee?" You are never special in your hometown. They know your story, they know it all. I was like, okay, this reminds me to be humble. I also want to acknowledge some folks this morning who I know are here. Paula Hicks Hudson from the City Council and Tyrone Riley from the City Council. I wanted to make sure, and I told John, I always like to thank folks who are politically active in communities who come out and support Alpha Phi Alpha. Many of our initiatives and things that we work on and do are intrinsically tied to leadership in the cities. And we really have to, have a grassroots relationship with those individuals so that when we have needs and we try to speak for the constituencies that we serve, that our voice is heard. And we appreciate and don't take for granted when on mornings like this, city council members come out and they're not the keynote and they're not the show, but they're here to be participants and supporters. And I think those folks who show up should be thanked. Along with Brother Judge Myron Durant, Lucas County Common Pleas Court, we thank you, and although you're an Alpha man, I love to see brothers who are in significantly high-level positions continue to support love and wrap their arms around the brothers and not become so special that they lose the common touch. And school board members, Vice President Brenda Hill and Member Larry Sykes, we thank you for being here this morning. And while I don't live in this community, I always thank educators. Much of my career has been in the world of education, and I do realize that someone has to love our children and teach our children. And those of you who invest in them are worthy of praise. And last but not least, because if you ignore pastors, you do run that risk of some other kind of. I understand we have Pastor Cordell Jenkins in the house from Abundant Life Ministries, and I need to keep getting blessings, brother. I will not miss you. Where's that brother at? Thanks, brother. I don't care if he's a Catholic, he knows the Lord. Play that game if you want to. I ain't going to hell over my king breakfast. As always, it's wonderful to be here with the brothers of Alpha Phi Lambda. I have lots of wonderful memories here. My first Midwestern Regional Convention was held here in Toledo, and it was a wonderful time. And the brothers here worked hard. And many brothers questioned whether or not we could pull off a regional convention in a small Midwestern town in northwestern Ohio. And not only did we pull it off, it was one of the best. It was a great time. We made money, and the city of Toledo came out and supported us, and I'm forever grateful to those of you who live here in this community. Again, I'm thrilled and honored and excited to be here on this day. As Alpha men across the country stop and celebrate a man whose work will forever change the world, and through his vision and tireless work, move the nation. This morning, I've been given the responsibility to bring words about King, to celebrate his life, and to encourage all of us to live his dream. So I have dualistic themes this morning. One of them is to all of us in the room, and the other one is more to the brothers. But I'm going to meld them, and I think that we can all share both messages. If we want to live our lives like Martin, we need to be focused on lifting the community to new horizons of fair play, goodwill, and justice. Words like goodwill and justice and fair play define the spirit of the man we celebrate today. Dr. Martin Luther King was an ambassador for goodwill and fair play. Dr. King will forever be remembered as a great orator and a prolific promoter of the spoken word. His impact on the nation occurred because of the eloquence and inspirational quality of his message. Whenever he gave a speech, preached a sermon, or gave a presentation at grassroots functions, he melded the theme of democracy, those very themes that are embodied deep in the Constitution of the United States. Dr. King spoke with an unwavering focus on the true meaning of justice and equality. But today, brothers, I have to also say to you that while that is my theme for the day, I have to deviate a little bit, because if in fact we're going to carry on King's dream of promoting goodwill, fair play, and justice. We have to be married to who we are as alpha men. And I think Martin would ask some of us in the room, are you full-time alphas or are you part-time brothers? And this morning, I say to you that other folks in the room need to be full-time educators and not part-time teachers. Need to be full-time pastors and not part-time reverends. Full-time mothers and not a part-time mama. And full-time fathers and not part-time baby daddies. You see, there's a difference between alphas and part-time brothers. Let's be clear, however, that the barometer by which you measure this is not how many meetings you attend or because you come to meetings and create chaos, so you just being in the meeting don't necessarily give you points. It can't be measured by how many ball tickets you buy or how much liquor you donate to a hospitality suite. It can't be measured by how many conventions you attend. It's measured by your brotherly actions, your service to mankind, and your willingness to make a difference. Martin again would ask us, are you full-time alphas or are you part-time brothers? In Alpha Phi Alpha, we say goodwill is the monarch of this house. Men unacquainted, enter, shake hands, exchange greetings, and depart friends. Martin believed in goodwill. The most basic definition of goodwill should inspire us to be better community citizens. The word goodwill has at least two definitions, however. One is showing a friendly disposition towards somebody or simply possessing a cheerful willingness to do something. And the second one, Thomas Winston, I know you know, Howard Wesleyan graduate, economics major, smart guy. It's in the business world. It comes out of an accounting term. And in the basic terms, goodwill means the value of business over and above its tangible assets. It's value beyond what you see. And as I stand here today, I embrace both concepts. I believe that we have a moral obligation to show kindness and have a friendly disposition to all men and womankind. But I also believe that, similar to the business definition, we must look beyond what we see as a person's tangible assets and embrace the intrinsic value of all human life. We all have value, we are all worthy of respect, and we all deserve to be treated with goodwill. Full-time alphas understand goodwill and show it through their servant leadership. The foremost responsibility of an alpha man is to be a servant leader. In the dawn of our memberships, we're reminded that alpha's greatest interest lies outside of itself. We are to serve with altruism and honor. And honor is the foundation of all character. An alpha man lives and carries himself with distinction, not only because of the significance of honorable public persona, but because of vital significance of being an example for little black boys and little black girls who watch us closely and model what they see. Full-time alphas inspire the next generation. Part-time brothers look down their nose at youth and say, ain't it a shame? In contrast, full-time alphas are still dedicated to the youth who march onward and upward toward the light. Alpha men who are full-time alphas have character. And having character means that you have the ability to do what's right when nobody's looking. Are you a full-time alpha or a part-time brother? Because full-time alphas are courageous. They're courageous community leaders and they're not timid. In our hymn, we say that a fraternal spirit bonds all the true and courageous. We need to stand up and serve those who have the least and have access to the least. We must be advocates for the children and be stalwart warriors for our communities. There's no room in Malcolm's dream for cowardice. Today, we live in a much different world than we did in the 1960s. But in 1912, I can't get past 1911. Martin's dream continues to challenge us every day. Challenge us to act better, be better, hold ourselves accountable for how we engage and treat one another. Martin stated, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. We have to speak up. I will openly share with you that I'm not a minister. Much to the chagrin of my family, they would like that to happen every once in a while, and that's why they pray for me. But I am an unapologetic Christian who believes that if you ignore or overlook a homeless person because of the way they look or because you have a preconceived notion about why they're homeless, then you're not embracing goodwill. For Martin Luther King Jr., his inspirational promotion of goodwill had biblical roots. And I understand that perspective because I grew up in a little small black church in Springfield, Ohio. My pastor, Dr. Charles Walton, I remember his sermons that he gave, and one of the ones that seemed to always be reoccurring, and I always knew that it was part of the fabric of who he was. He took from Matthew 25:40, which states, "And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, you have done it unto me." And the lesson for me in that sermon was, remember that one, it's easy to love and admire those who have celebrity, money, and influence. However, everyone has value and deserves to be treated with dignity, respect, and they should be treated justly, regardless of age, gender, social class, physical ability, or religion. When we see injustice or inequity or ill will, we must hold ourselves, our communities, and our institutions accountable. We can't be silent. When or if we remain silent, our silence supports the inequity. King stated in one of his speeches that we will not remember the words of our enemies, but we will remember the silence of our friends. On this wonderful occasion, King would want us to remember that we cannot only fight for those injustices that impact one particular group, race, or population. We must collectively work to ensure that the acts of injustice, prejudice, sexism, and racism are never part of the fabric of our communities. It's my opinion that Dr. King was correct when he stated, "We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects us all indirectly." Full-time alphas have and understand loyalty. If you're loyal and help without being asked, if you're loyal, you won't have to trash the name of the organization or members because you're angry. Brothers, we have to learn that we have to embrace and love our organizations, our people, our children all the time. We can't let emotions take over or dictate our actions. Because if you're loyal, you'll send a brother a get well card when he's ill, or you'll drop by his home or hospital bed and extend some love and encouragement. If you're loyal, you carry your share of the load. In communities, some of us have become so worried about our middle-class selves that we've lost the courage and commitment to fight for the communities that we grew up in. And now we visit those communities on Sunday morning when we drive in from the suburbs to attend church. Brothers, courage has always been a quality by which men measure themselves and others. We have to have the courage to work vigorously on political campaigns, fight against legislation that hurts our people and our communities, and encourage our people to participate in the political process. Full-time alphas still believe that a voteless people is a hopeless people. And I'm not talking about the courage to face physical danger, but the determination to stand up for the right. Real alpha men, and my grandma used to talk about this, baby, you gotta have 3 bones. I was like, what are you talking about? That Southern wisdom sometimes used to just knock me out. I was like, well, hold on, she would say things like, the boy was raised right, he made a left, You're going to heaven because I'm going to beat the hell out of you. She always had these sayings. I was like, where did you get that from? Is there a book? I got to get caught up. But she said, you really got to have 3 bones. You got to have a wishbone and keep faith in God that he will never leave us. You have to have a jawbone so you can speak truth to power. And you have to have a backbone because without that, the other 2 don't matter. She said, trusting in God, walking with faith, and speaking truth to power will keep you free. And it was interesting coming from my grandmother, because my grandmother didn't complete elementary school. But she had the wisdom of a PhD. Full-time alphas are kind to one another. So brothers, I challenge you to be kind. I challenge you to be kind, brothers, and understand kindness and brothers should never be taken for granted. And sometimes we let internal or external, political or fraternal politics sever our relationships. And the politics don't have anything to do with brotherhood. It's sometimes about self-promotion, hero worship, shallow values, and or a moral deficit. So all of us, alphas and non-alphas, we all have to rise above the petty and embrace the values that we were brought up on. We must remember it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. And although we're the ice cold brothers, and we're especially ice cold on today, who crossed the burning sands, it does not give us excuses to be cold or callous or hot-tempered in our dealings with each other. Full-time alphas are ice cold in demeanor, but warm-hearted in brotherhood. As I start to close, one of the things I want to share with you is, I really believe that we're standing on the shoulders of Martin, and to not celebrate his day by being engaged in service, whether it's at our church, mosque, synagogue, wherever you worship, or whether it's with a community action agency, or whether it's at a school, I think we owe some service, not just that day, but we owe some service. And brothers who have been with me through my fraternal leadership career know that the one thing I always say to brothers is, I believe in that one African proverb that says, the well that I drink from, I did not dig. The young brother brought it up this morning. He used part of that in his. But it's the well that I drink from, I did not dig. I'm the beneficiary of all the work and toil of all those brave souls that came before me, and therefore I owe. And so as we think about that, brothers, I just want to say that we need to do our work and move forward as a community, as a people, and as a fraternity in an altruistic way. And I remember, to the men in the room, the words of my childhood pastor. He said, real men keep their hands on the plow. At the end of his sermons before he closed, he would always say, my hands are on the plow, my faltering hands, and all that before me is untilled land. The wilderness is a solitary place, a lonely desert with its inner space. The handles of my plow with tears are wet. The shears with rust are spoiled, and yet, my God, keep me from turning back. I heard it almost every Sunday in my life at the end of his sermons until I was 18 years old. And I didn't really understand it until I had a child, until I had responsibilities, until I grew older, and until I was on my own. And I understand what it means to keep your hands on the plow. And I think that biblically, we all need to remember that, in the King James Version, Luke 9:62, he said, Jesus said unto him, no man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of God. So don't forget where you come from, and don't take your hands off the plow. Full-time alphas value their time because they know it's not theirs. They know that time belongs to their wives, their children, and communities. Full-time brothers know that there are 86,400 seconds in a day. Those are precious seconds. A part-time brother sits around watching the clock, wasting the time they could really take to serve. Part-time brothers stand still enough to feel the world spin. The lack of action is distracted and pushes full-time brothers away from chapter meetings, conventions, and active membership. I challenge you not to elect part-time brothers to office, and don't give them assignments that you know they won't do. And don't allow them to chase away full-time brothers. Be full-time alpha men. So to all my brothers in the room who I love, who do so much, and Alpha Xi Lambda, you do an incredible amount of work. You are a chapter full of full-time brothers whose hands are on the plow every day, and you inspire me every day, and I'm so proud to be able to be with you here today. And so when I leave and close, I'm going to leave you with a couple things. One is, continue to be the magnificent chapter you are here at Alpha Xi Lambda. When I was extended the invitation, I was overjoyed because of all my memories of your hard work during the convention, and all my memories of your work for my 30 years in Alpha. Alpha Xi Lambda has been a leader, has been a transformer. They've been people who impact lives and mentor kids, and you're amazing. So today, I just challenge you to keep your hands on the plow. And I think if Mark was here today, he would also love Edgar A. Guest, because he wrote Invictus. And we love Invictus. But there's another little-known poem that Edgar A. Guest and had written that I also love. And it goes like this. When you're up against the trouble, meet it squarely face to face. Lift your chin and set your shoulders, plant your feet and take a brace. When it's vain to try to dodge it, do the best that you can do. You may fail, but you may conquer. See it through. Black may be the clouds about you, and your future may seem grim. But don't let your nerve desert you. Keep yourself in fighting trim. If the worst is bound to happen, in spite of all that you can do, running from it will not save you. See it through. Even hope may seem but futile when with troubles you're beset. But remember, you are facing just what other men have met. You may fail, but fall still fighting. Don't give up whatever you do. Eyes front, head high to the finish. See it through. Thank you, brothers, and I appreciate your time.